Have you ever looked at your cat and thought, hey, why do you act like you pay rent around here? I feed you. I clean your litter box. I even let you sit on my laptop when I'm trying to study. And all you do is blink slowly and walk away like I'm not even in the room. Yeah, same. Turns out science actually knows why. And trust me, it's way funnier than you'd think. So today I'm going to tell you 15 super weird things that sound totally fake but are actually real, like proven by actual scientists, with lab coats and goggles and maybe a petri dish or two. And I promise this is going to be way more fun than homework or folding laundry or eating broccoli without cheese on it. Oh, and before we dive in, let me say a big, warm hello from the one and only channel where science is fun, facts are funny, and you're allowed to laugh out loud at learning new things. Welcome to Dad Look at This, the place where we turn your brain into a curiosity-powered rocket ship. And by the way, I'm really glad you're here. Like really, really. Because this is the kind of episode where you'll learn stuff that makes your brain go, huh? Your eyebrows go, whoa, and your mouth go, wait, what? If you're the kind of person who likes knowing things just to blow your friends' minds at lunch, or you've ever Googled something like why cereal gets soggy, then yep, this episode is totally for you. So grab a snack, get comfy, and let's jump into 15 things that science says are true, even though your brain might scream, no way. Let's start with some of the wildest creatures around. And no, I'm not talking about dragons or aliens. I mean real animals you probably already know, like cats and pigs, and even bats. They've got secrets, they've got weird habits, and yes, they've got science to back it all up. Get ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about our furry, muddy, and flappy friends. Cats can hear you. They just don't care. Have you ever tried calling your cat like 5 times in a row, and it just stared at the wall like it was watching a ghost? Like you're standing there saying, hey, kitty, kitty, and it's like, nope, not today. Well, turns out that cat is not confused, it's not deaf, and it's definitely not meditating. It just doesn't care. Scientists in Tokyo actually did a study where they played voice recordings for cats, some from strangers, some from their owners. And guess what? The cats clearly reacted more when they heard their human's voice. Their ears moved, their heads turned a little, but then they just blinked slowly like, yes, I hear you, and no, I will not be coming over there. The reason is pretty funny. Cats were never really domesticated the way dogs were. Dogs went through thousands of years of being trained and rewarded for following commands. Cats, on the other hand, just kind of strolled into human life one day, probably chased a rat into someone's house and decided, this is cozy, I'm staying, no contract, no promises, no leash. So if your cat doesn't respond when you call it, it's not being a jerk, it's just being historically independent, like a tiny fluffy CEO that doesn't check email unless it's tuna related. And honestly, that's kind of iconic. Pigs don't bathe in mud because they're dirty. They just really like it. Have you ever seen a pig rolling around in mud and thought, ew, gross, that's so dirty? Well, hang on a minute, because science says pigs aren't being messy. They're being smart, and also a little bit fabulous. See, pigs don't have a lot of sweat glands, so when it gets hot, they can't cool down like we do no sweating, no fan, no ice cream. Instead, they roll in mud, which keeps them cool and comfy like a natural air conditioner made of squish. But here's the fun part. Scientists discovered that pigs don't just roll in mud to cool down, they actually enjoy it. They choose it even when the weather's nice. Like they go out of their way to find a mud puddle and say, yes, this is my vibe. Some researchers even believe it's a behavior rooted in emotional comfort, like a piggy version of a bubble bath. So yeah, pigs aren't gross, they're just ahead of us in the self-care game. Next time someone calls you a pig, maybe take it as a compliment. You're emotionally balanced, temperature aware, and not afraid to get a little muddy in life if it feels good. Guys walk slower, next to girls they like. Have you ever been walking next to someone and suddenly realize they're taking teeny tiny steps, like they're floating on slow motion marshmallows? Well, guess what? That might not be. Random science says it could be love, or at least a little crush happening in their sneakers. Researchers watched couples walking together and found that guys tend to slow down by about 7% when they're walking next to a girl they like. Not a little bit, not maybe, but exactly 7%. That's like turning your walk into a low-key romantic glide. What's even funnier is that the girl doesn't change her pace at all. She just walks like normal while he's over here doing math in his head, thinking, okay, left foot now, pretend you're chill, don't trip, don't sweat. And if he's walking with a friend, even a girlfriend, the speed doesn't change. It only happens when he likes her. So if someone's walking slower next to you and looking all relaxed, they might not be tired or lost. They're possibly just enchanted. Or maybe their shoes are too tight, but probably enchanted. Because apparently love doesn't just make your heart beat faster, it makes your feet drag a little too. Bats aren't blind. They're just overachievers. Did someone ever tell you that bats are blind and you just believed it because it sounds dramatic and mysterious, like, oh wow, they fly in the dark, but they can't even see? Well, get ready to unlearn that, because bats are not blind at all. In fact, they have eyes, and those eyes work just fine. Some bats can even see better at night than humans can with their phone flashlights on. So why do people think they're blind? Probably because bats also use echolocation, which means they make high-pitched sounds and listen to the echoes to figure out where things are, kind of like real-life sonar. That makes them flying sound detectives, not flying blind. So next time someone says blind is a bat, you can say, actually, bats are not blind. They're just multitasking legends. They use their eyes and their ears at the same time, which is more than I can do when I'm trying to walk and text. And let's be honest, if you could fly in total darkness without hitting a single wall, you'd probably brag about it. Bats don't brag, though they're too busy being awesome little sky ninjas with superpowers built in. Alright, now that we've uncovered how pigs are basically spa experts, let's talk about something a little closer to home, like school homework, and why sometimes your brain feels like mashed potatoes. Turns out science has a lot to say about how we learn how we work, and why your teacher might actually be onto something when they give you that giant packet of questions. Homework actually works. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Please no, not homework anything but homework. Can't we just skip this one and pretend it's fake? But hang on, because science actually looked into it, and yeah, homework really does help. A bunch of researchers gave two groups of students the same class material, but only one group had to do homework after school. And guess what? The homework group totally crushed it. Their test scores went up, their grades improved, and their brains basically turned into little memory champions. It's like your brain has a bunch of shelves and homework helps you stack the knowledge neatly so you can find it later. No homework is like tossing books in a pile and hoping one lands open on the answer. Now, I'm not saying you have to love homework, but maybe next time you're doing it, think of it like brain gym lifting knowledge weights so you can flex on test day. Or at least so your future self says, "Thanks, buddy. You didn't let us forget how to do long division." Meetings can actually make you dumber. Have you ever sat in a meeting or a class where people just keep talking, and halfway through your brain quietly sneaks out the back door and says, "Nope, I'm done"? Well, science says that's not just you being dramatic, it's actually real. A study looked at how meetings affect people's mental energy and motivation, and guess what? Too many meetings can totally drain your brain. Researchers followed university staff and found that after long meetings, even the most motivated people felt tired, grumpy, and less productive, like their brains had been turned into mashed potatoes without butter, the worst kind. And the problem isn't just boredom, it's that your brain has to constantly switch between listening, remembering, pretending to care, and planning your escape, all while sitting still in a chair that squeaks way too much. So if you've ever left a meeting and forgotten what day it is now, you know why. Your brain was working too hard on nothing useful, which is kind of like trying to solve a math problem with a broken pencil in a thunderstorm. So next time you find yourself trapped in another never-ending group talk, remember science has your back, and your brain deserves a juice box and a nap. Reading actually builds your brain. Have you ever opened a book, read one paragraph, and suddenly realized you've been staring at the same sentence for 5 minutes thinking about snacks? Well, don't worry, that happens to all of us. But here's the thing. When you actually get into a book and start imagining the story, your brain lights up like a pinball machine. Scientists have found that reading activates parts of your brain connected to language, memory, emotions, and even physical movement. Like if the book says someone ran down a hill, the part of your brain that controls running lights up. That means your brain is kind of acting it out, like silent cosplay. Reading helps you understand people better too, because your brain gets practice feeling what characters feel. It's like emotional training wheels, but with dragons and plot twists. So if you ever feel like reading is boring, just remember your brain is actually doing a mini workout behind the scenes. And unlike actual workouts, you don't have to sweat. Just turn a page and boom, brain gains. Books don't just make you smarter, they make your imagination swole. Okay, enough about homework for now. Let's shift gears and talk about something way more personal, like your feet, your cereal, your joints, and maybe your belly too. Because believe it or not, science knows exactly why your cereal gets soggy, why heels hurt, and why bopping your knuckles doesn't turn your hands into raisins. I promise this part is weird and wonderful. People look at your body before your face. Okay, this one might make you go, wait, what? But science says when people look at other people, the first thing they notice is not always the face. Yeah, it's true. Researchers use eye tracking machines to see where people's eyeballs go first. And spoiler alert, it's not always polite. For guys, their eyes often go straight to the body, especially if someone fits what science calls the golden ratio of curves. And girls do it too, but usually because they're comparing themselves, not because they're checking people out. It's not about being creepy, it's just how our brains are wired to scan for shapes and symmetry. Our eyes notice outlines, movement, and balance before they realize, oh wait, that person has a nose and a name. It's a weird leftover habit from ancient survival days where quickly spotting shape and posture could mean food or danger. So the next time you catch someone looking at your shoulder instead of your face, maybe don't panic. Their brain just said, hey, that shape is familiar. Or maybe they just really like your hoodie. Either way, science says we all look a little sideways before we look straight. High heels hurt no surprise. There! Have you ever worn shoes that looked amazing, but felt like your toes were being slowly squeezed by angry fashion elves? Yeah, welcome to the world of high heels. They may look fancy and give you that tall click-clack confidence, but science says they are not your feet's best friend. Researchers have found that wearing high heels too often messes with your posture. Your hips tilt your knees, shift your spine, arches like a cartoon cat, and your feet take all the damage. Over time, this can lead to chronic foot pain, joint stress, and a walk that says ouch with every step. One study showed that 60% of older women who used to wear heels regularly now have persistent foot issues. That's a lot of regret stuffed into a lot of stylish shoes. And it's not just about pain. Your whole body adjusts when you wear heels. Muscles stretch in weird ways. Pressure builds where it shouldn't. It's like tricking your skeleton into doing yoga in reverse. So if you ever kick off your heels halfway through a party and say, nope, I'm done, don't feel bad, you're not quitting, you're just listening to science, and your toes are applauding you silently. Cereal stays crunchier in milk than in water. Have you ever poured cereal into a bowl, added water because you ran out of milk, took one bite, and immediately regretted every life decision you've ever made? Yeah, same. And here's why. Water makes cereal go soggy super fast, like instantly. Floppy, but milk. Oh, glorious milk keeps it crunchier for longer. And it's not just about taste. Science explains it with something called fat molecules. See, milk has fat in it. And those tiny fat particles create a little barrier around each cereal piece. That means the cereal soaks up liquid more slowly. Water, on the other hand, just rushes in like, hey, I'm here, and bam, your flakes turn into mush. Researchers actually tested this with corn-based cereal and found that milk keeps the structure intact longer than water does. It's like a crunchy shield made of creamy science. So next time you wonder why soggy cereal tastes like betrayal, remember it's not your fault, it's just chemistry. And maybe keep a milk emergency box in the fridge, or eat it dry and pretend it's trail mix. Either way, now you know milk isn't just tastier, it's the crunchy hero your breakfast deserves. Eating more really does make you gain weight. Okay, I know this sounds super obvious, like duh, eating more makes you gain weight. But here's the thing, for a long time, people thought the real reason we gain weight is because we don't move enough, like sitting too much or not running 10 miles before breakfast. But scientists studied this and found that the biggest factor isn't laziness, it's calories, specifically eating too many of them. One big study found that over the last few decades, people gained weight mostly because they started eating more, not because they suddenly became couch potatoes. Our bodies are like engines. They burn fuel. If you keep filling the tank but never drive the car, the fuel doesn't disappear, it just gets stored. And in humans, that storage looks like belly squish. It's not about guilt, it's about math. So the next time you wonder why your jeans feel tighter after a week of Snack Fest 3000, Just remember, science says your body is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Also, maybe drink some water and eat a vegetable. Your stomach will say thanks, probably with a happy little gurgle. Cracking your knuckles doesn't cause arthritis. Have you ever cracked your knuckles and someone immediately yelled, "Stop that!" or you'll get arthritis? Well, turns out that's not true. Like at all. Scientists have been looking into this for decades, and there is zero evidence that cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. None. What actually happens when you crack your knuckles is that you're popping tiny gas bubbles in the fluid inside your joints. Yeah, your fingers are like little soda bottles. And when you stretch them just right, the pressure changes and pop gas escapes. It's called cavitation, and it's totally harmless. In fact, some people crack their knuckles every day for years and never develop joint problems. One doctor even cracked the knuckles on just one hand for 60 years to prove the point. And guess what? Both of his hands were totally fine. So the next time someone gives you the stink eye for cracking your fingers, you can say, "Relax, I'm just letting the bubbles out." But fair warning, it might still annoy people around you. Not because of arthritis, but because it sounds like popcorn and makes them hungry. Stress isn't the main cause of high blood pressure. Okay, so everyone loves to blame stress for everything. Got a headache? Must be stress. Forgot your homework? Stress again. Ate 5 cupcakes in a row? Clearly stress. And while stress definitely affects your body, science says it's not the main reason people have high blood pressure. Researchers have studied this a lot, and they found that while stress can make your blood pressure go up for a little while, it usually goes back down once the stressful moment passes. The real long-term causes are things like eating too much salty food, not exercising, smoking, or just plain old genetics. That means you can't just blame your history test for your future heart problems. Sorry. But it's not all bad news. Learning how to chill out still helps. It can make your heart happier, your mood better, and maybe even stop you from yelling at your siblings. So, yeah, stress might not be the villain we thought it was, but it's still kind of annoying. And if taking deep breaths helps, then maybe do a few right now. Inhale. Exhale. Boom. You're basically a walking science experiment. We've made it to the final stretch. And now it's time for the real head scratchers. These are the facts that sound made up, like totally bonkers. But nope, they're absolutely true. Like how diamonds aren't made from coal, and how your body acts super weird when you're around someone you like. Brace yourself for some serious what the what moments. Science edition, diamonds aren't made from coal. Did you grow up thinking diamonds come from coal? Like, just squeeze some coal really hard and boom, sparkly rock? Yeah, me too. But science says nope, that's not how it works. While it sounds dramatic and cool, diamonds and coal actually come from completely different places. Coal forms from squished up ancient plants near the Earth's surface. But diamonds, they come from deep underground, like way deeper, over 100 miles down, where the pressure and heat are intense enough to turn pure carbon into crystals. So unless that piece of coal takes an elevator to the Earth's core, it's not becoming a diamond anytime soon. Also, coal has stuff like hydrogen and oxygen mixed in. Diamonds don't. They're pure carbon all the way. That's like comparing a bag of trail mix to a single peanut. Similar, but not the same. So next time someone says pressure makes diamonds, you can say, well, actually it makes diamonds if you're in the mantle with the perfect ingredients and a few million years to spare, Everyone else just gets sweaty and stressed, which is way less shiny. You act differently around someone you like. Have you ever been around your crush and suddenly forgot how to speak like a normal human? Like your voice gets squeaky, your hands don't know where to go, and your brain is just static noise. Well, don't worry. Science says that's totally normal. When you're near someone you like, your body changes in sneaky ways. Your heart rate goes up, your pupils get bigger, your voice gets softer, and sometimes you even walk slower without realizing it. It's like your brain goes into lag mode and presses all the weird buttons at once. Researchers have studied how people behave around romantic interests, and the results are kind of adorable. People mirror each other's movements more. They laugh more. They even tilt their heads differently. It's like your whole body is trying to say, "Hey, I think you're cool," but in a super awkward way. So next time you trip over your own feet while saying hi, don't panic. You're just being a human with feelings and a slightly confused nervous system. And who knows, maybe they're doing the same thing too? Science says love makes everyone a little bit clumsy, which honestly makes it kind of sweet. Wow, we made it! 15 facts, 1 brain, and hopefully 0 cereal spilled along the way. If you're like me, your brain probably feels a little bit puffier now. In a good way, like science cotton candy, all sweet and surprising. We learned that cats ignore us on purpose, that pigs roll in mud for fun, that meetings can melt your mind, and that high heels are basically toe prisons in disguise. We found out that diamonds are picky, and that love turns our legs into noodles. And through it all, science had our backs. Not just with boring charts, but with actual answers to real-life weirdness. That's kind of the magic of it. Science isn't just about lab coats and beakers, it's also about cereal crushes and cracking your knuckles without guilt. It's about understanding the strange things we do and the even stranger things we didn't know we do. So whether you came here to learn something cool or just to avoid your homework for 8 more minutes, I hope you had fun. I definitely did. And hey, if you like stories like this, packed with facts, laughter, and a little bit of, maybe stick around. There's always something new to discover. And this brain party, it's just getting started. This has been Dad, Look at This. You're awesome. Stay curious. And remember, even pigs know how to relax better than we do. Science says so.